Behind every single civilization, there's a silent creator. It doesn't have a voice, but it shapes who we are. It doesn't have feet, yet it travels across generations. And that creator, well, it's the human mind. So let's dive into how our very own thoughts actually build the world around us.
Just let that sink in for a moment. Every massive, sprawling society, every single tradition we follow, every incredible monument, it all started as just a tiny spark inside someone's head.
And that's the big question, isn't it? How does something so personal, so internal, get so big that it defines millions of people for hundreds of years? Well, that's exactly the puzzle we're going to piece together in this explainer.
We're going to start at square one. We're going to decode how our internal thoughts, our own private mental habits, are the invisible architects of this huge external thing we call culture.
It all starts with these seeds. And we're not talking about complex philosophies here. We're talking about the basic, universal stuff. What we all fear, what we love, what we want, and this is the most important one, what we repeat. That forms the absolute foundation of any culture.
Okay, so we've got these patterns bouncing around in our heads, but how do they actually get out and into the real world? Let's trace the journey, step by step, from a simple thought into a tradition that lasts forever.
And here's the path, laid out perfectly. A pattern in the mind, if you do it enough, becomes a personal habit. Then, when enough of us start doing that same habit, it turns into collective behavior. And when that collective behavior gets passed down and sticks around, boom, that's culture. It's such a simple and incredibly powerful process.
So let's make this really concrete with this idea of mind language. Think about something you do without even thinking, like greeting someone. It feels like just a tradition, right? But it's actually your mind speaking, expressing an internal value without saying a word.
Each of these gestures is like a full sentence in this mind language. A namaste is saying, I see the divine in you. A bow is saying, I respect you and show humility. A handshake says, I trust you, let's connect. They're the physical shape of a culture's psychology.
All right, so let's zoom out from these individual actions for a second and look at the bigger picture, how this mind language creates the entire public mindset of a whole community.
And here's a really key way to think about it. Culture is just the written out loud psychology of a group of people. It's their shared beliefs, their fears, their hopes, all expressed in their festivals, their art, their laws, and even in the food they eat. It's basically a biography of a collective mind.
Now, within that collective mind, there's almost always one core value that a society protects above all else. It's like the central pillar holding the whole structure up. So, what is it?
The answer is this idea of a value, which is just a fancy word for a core, protected value. And this table shows it all. Whatever a society decides to protect the most becomes its main feature. In India, the value is family, which leads to this culture of super strong kinship. In Japan, it's discipline, which creates a very structured society. It's like this one value sets the center of gravity for the whole culture. So if culture is the psychology of a community, it needs a way to speak, right? And that brings us to its most powerful tool of all, language.
This is such a critical idea. Language isn't just a random collection of words. It is the voice of a culture. Every single language carries what you could call the emotional DNA of the people who speak it.
Just look at these examples. You can practically feel the personality of the culture in its language, the almost mathematical purity you see in Sanskrit, the deep, poetic soul carried in Bengali, the grounded, practical realism of Marathi. Language doesn't just describe a culture's world, it reveals its very soul.
Okay, so culture is all around us. We get it. But its most powerful influence is how it quietly runs in the background inside each of us, guiding our every move.
This is the perfect metaphor. Honestly, just like the OS on your phone or computer, culture is always running in the background. You don't consciously see it, but it's determining how you interact with everything, what apps you can run, and what you can't.
Your cultural OS is running the show on so many of your subconscious behaviors. Why you feel comfortable sitting one way and not another. Why certain foods taste like home. It's the invisible script we're all following, and it's shaping everything from our simple habits to our deepest fears and biggest dreams.
For thousands of years, this operating system was written by our elders, by our geography. But today, a brand new culture is being written, and it's happening at the speed of light.
And this slide just shows how huge that shift is. I mean, it's night and day. The source of culture has gone from elders to screens. It's not limited by geography anymore. It's totally global. And it doesn't spread slowly over generations. It spreads instantly through memes and trends. We are witnessing the rise of a new digital civilization.
Which brings us to the final, really profound takeaway from this whole thing. It's not a one-way street where minds just make culture. It's actually a powerful, continuous loop.
And here it is, the full cycle. Our minds produce thoughts. Those thoughts build a culture. But then, that culture turns right back around and shapes our identity. And in the end, that identity is what determines our destiny. We are both the creators of our culture, and at the very same time, we are its creation.
And that leaves us with one last massive question to think about. In this new age of screens and speed and global connection, with every single click, every post, and every share, what kind of culture are our minds, yours and mine, building for the future right now?